Good evening. You know, some human beings are just way, way more talented than all the rest of us. And tonight's guest is one of those. The truth is, just a few generations ago, it used to take about 5 people to do what he can do himself. It used to always take one lyricist and a composer to write a song. So 2 people to write one song. A singer, someone to arrange it, someone to play it. Tonight's guest does all those things, and he does them remarkably. Among songwriters, he's unique in that he's equally inventive and inspirational with words as with music. Most songwriters are one or the other. He's great with both, as you probably already know. And his career has been historic, and he's also a wonderful guy. So it's always exciting to get to be a place where you're with a songwriter playing songs that are everywhere at once. David Crosby's songs are everywhere at once, and yet we're going to be with him here tonight. So I'm very, very pleased to present our good friend, Mr. David Crosby.
Hi, you guys. Let me see if this is, it's on in the house. Is this on in the monitor?
It's working. And there's a lot of love here in the house. I can feel it tonight. It feels good. This is David Crosby here. Well, I'm going to start asking questions, and we're going to let you write up some questions, too. And I'll start with the obvious question that everyone wonders, I'm sure, when you got David Crosby. You know, with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, how did you get top billing? How did that work?
Yeah, everybody thinks it must have been some great stratagem. It wasn't. If you say the names, try them in another order. Stills, Crosby, Nash.
Yeah,
Nash, Stills, Crosby. Young Nash, Stills, Crosby.
Yeah.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash goes bum-ba-dum-ba-da.
Yeah. It scans.
It falls off your tongue. And I knew that as soon as I put the 3, things together in my mind, so I just left the room. I knew that Stills wanted his name to be first.
Not
surprising. As a matter of fact, he and Neil staged a revolt at one point and had shirts made up that said "Sync," S-Y-N-C.
Oh, right. Stills, Young, Nash, Crosby.
Yeah.
Sync.
Stephen finally got it.
Well, it's interesting I've interviewed Stephen recently, and to talk to you, it's kind of like the way Lennon and McCartney often will have different versions of who wrote the song, how it came together. Your versions of how things happened, it's a little different from Stephen sometimes, to put it lightly. But just to clarify, now, the story that I've been told is that you and Stills were singing, just the 2 of you, and you were singing at Mama Cass's house. Yeah, he swore it's definitely Mama Cass's house.
Yeah, no, he always does.
He's wrong, huh?
He's totally wrong.
Well, the rest of the story, very quickly.
We used to hang out there. We used to hang out there at Mama Cass's a lot because she was a dear friend of all of us. She's the one who introduced Nash and I to each other, and she was a very, very close friend. And we did sing there many times because we used to. When we did the first Crosby, Stills, and Nash album, we could sit down and sing you the whole album. Mm. We needed 2 guitars, and that was it. We would just sit down and sing you the record, and we could do it anywhere, anytime. But I forgot what the question was.
Well,
this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'll get you through. Well, the thing is.
Oh no! There was a specific thing.
I was getting to it.
No, but what was it?
Well, about it being at Mama Cass's that you and Stills were singing.
This is a very specific thing. It was at Joni's house.
It was at Joni's house.
Yeah, Joni's
in Laurel
house.
Canyon.
Yeah, in Lookout Mountain Boulevard, or Lookout Mountain Road. It was Joni's house, very definitely. And Nash, if you don't believe me or Stills, ask Nash. He'll tell you Joni's house.
That I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to history, Nash heard the 2 of you singing. I believe it was "You Don't Have to Cry."
Yeah.
Okay, Stephen was right about that, too.
Yeah.
And then Nash said, "Play it one more time."
No, he was right about that only.
And Nash listened twice, and then he joined in with the perfect harmony
he listened to it twice, and he said, "Do that one more time."
Oh.
And Stills and I looked at each other, and we said, "Well, that's pushy, but okay." And so we sang it again, and he put the top harmony on, and right then we knew what we would be doing for the next large part of our lifetime.
And you know, to our ears, when we first heard that sound, that harmonic blend of your voices, the three of you, it was a miraculous sound. There are few sounds like those three voices in harmony.
It's a very odd blend. Nash, of course, is from Manchester, and I'm a California kid off the beach, and Stills is born and raised in the South. So our voices are very different. Our accents are very different. It's just no reason why it works the way it does, except it does.
Well, when you first heard it, did it strike you in the same way? Because when we heard it...
Yeah, absolutely.
You knew?
Oh, yeah. As soon as I knew I was having a lot of fun singing with Stephen. I had been tossed out of the Byrds.
There's so much to cover here. I don't know where to go.
It's absolutely true. Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman came up to my house and said, we'd like you to leave the group. Because we'll do better without you.
Because some stories say it was the song Triad that they objected to.
No, I don't think Roger liked that song a lot. He was sort of straight, but I don't think that was the main thing. No, I was fairly difficult. I know it's difficult for you to believe this, but I wasn't angelic all the time. There were times, I think we were, young, talented guys with big egos, and I wanted more, than being the harmony singer, quote unquote. I wanted them to do my songs. I wanted to, I wanted, to have a more active part in it, and.
Well, given that, were you not inspired to just try a solo career, like a Joni or Jackson or James Taylor?
I could have.
Why did you want to get in a group?
Well, this is a longer story. When I was a kid, when I was about probably 4, my mom took me to hear a symphony orchestra in the park, and we didn't have a lot of money, so she saw that there was a free concert, and she took me. And I was sitting right in the front. We got there early, and these people all sat down, and they tuned up, and I loved the sound of the tuning up. It was so random. It was so wild. And then they struck up a song, a piece, and it was so powerful. It just broke over me like a wave. It affected me very strongly. And something about, I noticed that some of the power came from, they were all doing it together. All the elbows were going at the same time, and all the drums were going. Everything was, the power, I got it, came from that they were all doing it together. And I guess it really stuck in my head, because I have always preferred making music with another human being or other human beings than doing it by myself. I've done many solo tours, and there are things you can do when you're by yourself, vocally and stuff that are you can take more chances. But something about that link up. When you play music by yourself, it's a joy. When you play music with another human being, there's an interchange that goes on. And if it's really good, if it's somebody like Nash, you wind up with a telepathic exchange going on. And then if you take that and put it out past the footlights to the audience, there's an energy that comes back from it that you just simply really can't believe. It's very strong, and it's palpable, and it's not just the sound that you make. There's a really strong energy that comes from an audience. So being in a group was always kind of what I wanted to do.
Were you and Stills considering being a duo, or did you want a third person?
I don't know if we were considering much of anything. We were just screwing around.
Right.
We were a pair of young bozos.
Writing some pretty good songs at the time.
We were writing some pretty good songs. Yeah. We were mostly running around rubbing the velvet off our antlers,
You once told me that there were 2 things you knew how to do when you were born, that you could sail and that you could sing harmony. Even before anyone taught you how to sing harmony, you kind of had that at the age of 6. And I don't know if everyone realizes it, but when David sings with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, he's almost always the middle part, which is the toughest part to do. It's the glue that holds the other parts together, and without that part, the chord doesn't work. And he comes up with very extraordinary harmony parts.
Odd.
Odd, yeah.
Odd, yeah. I've been accused of being odd.
So when you and Stills and Nash would sit down with a new song, would you work out harmony parts, or would it just kind of fall together?
You could call it working it out. You could call it falling together. It's a pretty loose process. Whoever wrote the song, bring it to the other guys and say, I got this new one, listen to this or listen to this. And while we're listening to it, even the very first time, things start to jump into your head, because it's what I do, and it's what Nash does. We're harmony singers. It's what we love. And before you get to the end of it the second time, we'll have the parts, usually. Sometimes before you get to the end of it the first time.
It's always kind of a... Sorry.
And then we work on them, after that. It's not like we don't, apply some craft to the thing, but mostly it comes naturally very easily.
It's always fascinating to hear any of you sing one of your famous songs solo, because where the melody is isn't obvious from hearing the record, because the parts intertwine, kind of like the Beatles did. And I mentioned that to Stills, and he goes, yes, we were very clever boys.
I would have said we listened to the Beatles a lot.
Oh, is that it?
And there's this basic difference there. You got to understand, I do love Stephen. He is a good guy, and he's been my partner forever, and I hope he will be my partner forever. But we disagree about lots of stuff, and we've learned to live with that.
Well, speaking of disagreements between you and Stills, since we're on the topic, though Crosby, Stills, and Nash were a team, very rarely did you write songs together. However, the exception, of course, is Wooden Ships, classic Wooden Ships, which was first credited to Wooden Ships. This man wrote that song. It was credited to you and Stills, and then Paul Kantner later got credit.
Well, there was a trick to that, too. What happened was Paul and the Jefferson Airplane had a very bad manager. The guy was such a shit that I remember his name. His name was Matthew Cates. It takes a lot to make me remember a guy's name. And he was a real piece of work. And he was suing them at the time. So Paul called me up and said, listen, you better not put my name on the Crosby, Stills, and Nash record, or he can, because right then he had an injunction against them releasing their record. And we didn't want to take a chance on him putting an injunction on us because Paul was one of the writers. So Paul told me to do it.
Yeah.
And I made sure, and we all made sure that he, got credit later.
Well, the way the story goes, and it goes different ways, is that you were on your ship, the Mayan, and you had a bit of Wooden Ships, and Kantner had a few lines.
No, I had all the music.
I'll read you Stills' quotes. I feel like Tim Russert here now.
Don't do it. It'll just piss me off.
Well, just one line. It's funny. I said, did you discuss what the song was about, or did you write it instinctually? He said, dude, there's no telling what we discussed that evening. It was one of those overwrought hippie things. The boat was humming, if you will.
Yeah, he doesn't know what it's about.
But he said he took the song and... He said he took it and finished it off.
No, he did not.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew you had to get that line in. You just...
Sorry.
Now I'm pissed.
I'll be good from now on.
I'll be pissed all night at you. Just because you went ahead and did that.
I should have ended with that.
No, he did not finish the song. What he did was he thought up the verse, horror grips you as we watch you die.
That sounds like Stills. Yeah.
That verse, he definitely did think up the words to. There's no question about it. He did. But I wrote all the music, and Paul wrote the rest of the lyrics with me.
And you had a sci-fi idea in mind when you were writing?
Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic sort of a thing. The silver people on the shoreline are people in radiation suits. It was one of those... It's one of those things after everything came unglued. We're a very odd generation. We grew up, we're the first generation to grow up with a full stop in our dictionary. We grew up with people telling us that the human race could actually be wiped out, that all life on the planet could be wiped out, which for a little kid is duck and cover doesn't quite handle that. And so it was in our heads, particularly Paul and I both read a lot of science fiction. We both grew up on Robert Heinlein, and Paul's written a number of science fiction songs. I've only written that one, But.
A thing about your work and that song particularly that's extraordinary to me is that they're so free. They don't follow any rules. They're not necessarily symmetrical. That one has dialogue in it. And you right up from the beginning were stretching the song form in new ways that no one ever had done.
I didn't know the rules. That's a great freedom. I have consciously tried to, not pay any attention to the accustomed way of writing songs. Verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. I do write some like that, but I try pretty much unconsciously. I just do weirder stuff than that. It's always been my job in the group is to write the weird shit. Well, Deja Vu is weird. It's an odd song. It doesn't go where you think it's going to go. And that's typical of me.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about looking over your whole body of work now is there's not one song that seems contrived, that you sat down like I'm going to write a hit now or a pop song.
I can't do it.
No?
I know people who can. They can sit down and say, I'm going to write a song about the Eiffel Tower. It's big and it's tall and it's made out of iron. And I can't do that. I just effing can't. I just can't. Stuff comes to me. And more often than not, it's about love. It's about, love lost, love found, love unrequited, love celebrated. And as you get older, of course, it goes from being, love and lust to being family love. I've written a lot of songs, particularly in the more recent time when I've been writing with my son James. I wrote a lot of songs about Jan, which is kind of natural. We've been together 30 years, and I'm in love with her. So.
And she's here tonight, and she's a great lady. So have you ever sat down with an idea, like I want to write a song about a topic, or do they kind of emerge and then you follow them more than lead them?
Sometimes I do. I do it every which way. I've been trying to write, shit. I have been trying to write a good song about America for a long time. Well, it's a tough one, man. I really love this country. I really love it. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the Declaration of Independence. I believe in the Bill of Rights. I think it's the best defense of freedom there's ever been. It's the greatest country in the world. And those documents are the best, finest attempt at finding a way for us all to live together under the rule of law that there's ever been. There's the other side of the coin. We don't want to get too political.
Too late.
But we will. I don't like the politicians that try to drag it their way away from the Constitution and away from the Bill of Rights and away from the Declaration of Independence. I never have, and I most assuredly don't like George Bush. Let me ask you a question. This is just a question, because this has been bothering me. Let me ask you. Don't you think it would be a good idea to have a law that says you can't have nuclear weapons unless you can pronounce the word nuclear?
I agree.
I just think, it would...
I think that's a good law.
Kind of a...
I have an 8-year-old son.
I'd feel so much safer.
Yeah.
Hey, come here.
My son can say it. He's 8. He knows the difference.
Come here, guys. Come on in. Come on up on the upper floor. Here, now, press the red button and watch. It's really fun. Try it. Just press the red one.
Well, I found one of the most moving expressions of your love of this country is your version of My Country 'Tis of Thee,
Yeah,
which is, have you heard that? Isn't that gorgeous? There's nothing like it.
It's a good song. We were almost going to do that in the CSNY Freedom of Speech tour that we did last summer, which was really fun. We definitely stirred up some trouble that time.
Oh yeah.
Boy, when you'll see, 95% of the people really loved what we were saying, and I think you would too. But there was a very vocal and quite drunk part of the audience in Atlanta, in particular, who were really. You can't say that about George, God damn it! I'd like to kill that Neil Young, that some bitch. And so we had cameras going. We had 5 cameras on the stage, but we had another 5 in the audience. And all of those people, we got them all on camera. We got all the ones who got there at 9 o'clock and were tailgating, because they love our music and they always have. And then we got these people who were, well, I think it's just a crime that we paid, whatever it was, all that money to come in here and we came to listen to songs. How dare they say bad things about the president like that and all that nonsense? I don't know whose concert they thought they were going to. Because, maybe it was, how do you say his name? Barely Man Enough? Barry Manilow. That's it. Maybe that's what they thought. Maybe that's the concert they thought they were going to, but they come to a CSNY show and expect no politics, man. You have to be some seriously dumb. Ohio, long time gone, for what it's worth. Military madness. It's not like this is a new thing with us. We've been doing it for a while. So I found it, a great deal of fun. And as usual, I forgot where you started.
Doesn't really matter.
I'm really glad you're here, Paul,
I'm
because
glad to be here.
you'll remember everything.
I'll try. We'll tape it too so we can remember it.
Yeah.
When you write a song, sometimes you've told me you've had lyrics for a song, a whole lyric you'll write. Sometimes, like today, you played a whole new song that was just music. They come all different ways?
Every which way, yeah. Sometimes the lyric will jump full-blown into your head. I'm Shadow Captain comes to mind. I was in my sailboat, and I was off the coast of California, about 150 miles out, and I was off watch, and it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up, grabbed a pad of paper, wrote the entire thing, word for word, exactly the way you heard it on the record, and went back to sleep.
Wow.
Just, when I got to Shadow Captain of a charcoal ship, I went, Cross, you cool.
Yeah, good line.
That's cool. Trying to give the light the slip. Yeah, I loved it.
Words
I forgot all about it till morning. Breakfast was really good that morning.
Okay.
Woke up to that. Yeah, they come every which way. The one that I was playing you earlier, I'll play it for them if they want.
Good. I was just told that they want you to take your guitars out of the case because they don't want to touch them. But we have 2 guitars here, actually, that are very beautiful.
Well, they're just for help.
Yeah.
They're just for help.
It's not a concert.
I'll sing a couple of songs, but...
Yeah. But, well, do you have any ideas when a song like that comes to you full-blown? And many great songwriters have said the best songs have come like that. Where does that come from? Do you have any idea?
I don't. I can give you a clue, though. What I found is that many times I would write right when I was falling asleep. And what I think it is I think that as you're falling asleep, the busy mind, the verbal crystallization level of your mind that's talking to you right now is falling asleep. It's cacking out. And another level, let's call it intuitive imaginative level, a level that makes longer leaps of connection, gets a shot at the steering wheel for a second. Because suddenly, just as I'm drifting off, I will write lyrics. And it's happened, hundreds of times. So I think that there is a part of my mind that is subconsciously putting stuff together. Because there's no conscious, okay, insert tab A in slot B. I don't really do that very much.
Well, songwriting is an unusual art. It's an art and a craft. In that you can't teach it to someone, but you can learn it. But right from the very beginning, you were writing very sophisticated songs. Your first song, You don't think so?
No. You haven't
we didn't
heard
hear
the ones
them.
I wrote at the
Oh,
beginning.
okay.
Then.
It didn't start like that?
Yeah, my first song wasn't all that good.
What was it called?
It was called Cross the Plains.
Nice title.
It was pure, unadulterated corn.
Uh-huh. They're wanting to hear it, of course. No. But all songwriters start like that. When you were starting writing songs, were you emulating anybody? Was there a certain artists or songwriters, singers that you were emulating?
Beatles.
Oh, yeah, that was it, huh?
Yeah, Beatles. I grew up on a lot of what made me sing the way I do and to make me want to sing harmony is the Everly Brothers.
Ah.
But, the Champs, they pretty much wrote the book. But the Beatles took it further, and their lyrics were so good, and their, Jesus, Eleanor Rigby. How do you get to there? How do you get to where you can write a song like that? That's so brave. Write a song about old people alone in the dark? Come on. We write, ooh, baby, I love you. You got nice buns. We don't write Eleanor Rigby.
Well, they started with those pretty simple ones, too.
Yeah, absolutely they did. Absolutely they did. We all do.
But
they grew so fast, so far.
As did you. It seems to me, though, when I think of Lennon and McCartney, that McCartney would often write story songs like Eleanor Rigby about someone else outside of his life, where Lennon was writing about himself a lot. Though not always, but that you seem to write more about yourself and your life, and you're making statements right out of what you do. Is that true?
I try, but it's not a conscious. I say I try, and I don't really. I don't have a conscious aim in doing it. I just want to write something that rings true, and that feels good to me, and that makes you feel something. That's my job, is to help you feel something, to put you, in a place where you feel something. Now that can be triumph, it can be sadness, it can be joy, it can be love, it can be anger, it can be almost anything. But if I can make people feel something, then I think it's good art. That's my criterion for art, is if you look at a painting and it does nothing to you, then I don't care how expensive it is. It doesn't do anything to me. If I look at a painting and it makes me feel something strongly, well, then it's good art to me.
When you were working on a song, would you ever try to force the process, or do you pretty much let it happen? Do you need inspiration to make it work?
I've done both.
Yeah.
I try to be patient with them because I think they come out better that way. And you really never know how a song is going to come out. Give you an example. There's a song that I wrote, and it started out as a jam. It's called "What Are Their Names?" And it was a. He likes that one.
I did.
And it started out as a jam. Garcia and I and some other people were just.
Phil Lesh, Neil
Phil?
Young.
Phil. I don't know if
Neil was
Neil
on.
was he?
I've done my homework.
I'll bet you $5 he wasn't on it.
All right.
Anyway, he had a large part in changing that song, though, because we did it for the record, and then I never did it again, pretty much. And Neil, when we were doing this, when we were getting ready for the Freedom of Speech tour, I went over to him and I sang in his ear, and I said, "Remember that song? I think that song would fit in this show." And what he did was he got everybody to sing. Can you guys sing? Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sing that with me. No, with me, not after. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's it. Whoa, who are the men who really run this land? And why do they run it with such a thoughtless hand? What are their names? And on what streets do they live? I'd like to ride right over the afternoon and give them a piece of my mind about peace for mankind. Peace is not an awful lot to ask. And that's how it wound up.
Yeah. Nice.
You're a good singer.
Yeah.
You had confidence. Stepped right in there where it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And then it was nice on the record. You got quite a nice choir to sing that. You had Joni on that and Grace Slick and some pretty nice people.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very odd time in my life. We had just made Deja Vu, and in the process of making Deja Vu, the girl that I was in love with got killed, and pretty much destroyed me. I didn't have any way to deal with it at all. I wasn't equipped for that, and so I couldn't really do much else except be in the studio. And sometimes I would go in the studio and just sit on the floor and cry, and mostly I would go in the studio and work on some song or another, and my friends would stop by. And that's how that record happened. It wasn't even supposed to be a record. I didn't know what else to do. And so we stayed in the studio, and Garcia, God bless him, and Nash came by every night, and Lesh many nights. And it was, it was good chemistry. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a beautiful album. Music is Love is on that album, and a lot of great stuff. Special songs. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, we were talking about CSN, and then Neil came in. And a lot of us never understood you. You got Crosby.
Here comes Neil. Yeah.
But you got Crosby, Stills, and Nash, three amazing singers, great songwriters, and then you bring in another really amazing artist.
Well, it worked like this. There were two main reasons. One, on the record, Crosby, Stills, and Nash record, Stephen played both keyboard and guitar. He's a very bright lad that way. And he knew that when he had to play guitar, we needed somebody else. When he had to play keyboard, somebody else was going to have to play guitar. And also, he knew that Neil was terrific. I didn't really. I knew that he was good. I didn't realize how good. But it's either Joni's or Elliot Roberts, a manager. One of their two driveways, I was sitting there waiting, and Neil drove by, saw me, pulled in, sat down. We sat down on the trunk of a car, and he sang me, 4 songs. And I definitely wanted to be in the same group with that guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, come on. He sang
Helpless?
Helpless, Cowgirl, a couple others. You can't not want to. He's one of the best songwriters alive.
Still said he had other ideas for other people in the band, including John Sebastian. He thought might be a good one.
Yeah, John was a friend of ours, all of us, and we thought, he could learn bass. He could. We did think about it, and there were a couple other people that we tried out for, bass and drums and keyboards and stuff. But it fell together the way it fell, and I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. But as 4 guys, as you said, with healthy egos, was it ever tough for you to share so much space with other songwriters to not have your own songs featured that much in concerts and on records?
No, because what we did was we kept our solo, lives intact by using our own names. We didn't call ourselves, the Bazzabazabbas. Because we wanted to be able to split off and do solo stuff, split off and do stuff in pairs for me and Nash, and come back to the mothership of the group. So no, it was we intended to do it. And truthfully, when you juxtapose your best song next to 3 other guys' best songs, it's stronger than you putting your 4 best songs together. Usually.
Yeah, those are some pretty amazing albums. We mentioned John Sebastian, and I just realized he actually plays harmonica on Deja Vu.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little trivia for you. And as we were talking about, Deja Vu is not a normal song. It's a very special song. It doesn't have a normal structure. The title itself isn't even in the song. How did it come together? Where did the title come from? Did that come later to call it Deja Vu?
It came from me having a very strong feeling that I had been here before. Some of that came from acid trips, and some of that came from... some of it came from knowing how to sail the first time I sat in a sailboat. And some of it came from feeling as if I had, done music before. Because it definitely felt as if I had.
Mm. And did you come up with the title after you wrote the song? Jarring the memory now. It's a good title.
That's tough.
It
The
became
sequence
the
of
title
events
song.
is pretty tough, yeah. But I was happy about the title. It's a very odd song, and it's an odd tuning.
It's interesting, too, that a lot of people don't realize there's a big difference between a song and a record. But you can write a great song and then make a bad record of it. But you guys were really great at capturing the spirit of your songs. And, I was listening to that many times last night. And the spirit is kind of has a spontaneous feel. You start kind of chanting before the count. And then there's a count, and then the band kind of kicks in. It works great.
I like what we do, too.
To me, it seems difficult when you're writing a song like that to capture it. It seems a song like that would be elusive as opposed to a verse that repeats a cyclical song. How would you
Well,
capture
that's what Nash
something
said.
like that?
Nash thought I was crazy. I sent him a tape of it. And, well, hang on.
Oh, good. It's getting the guitar. I was hoping. It's David Crosby. He happens to have brought beautiful guitars. Thank you. There's a white Pinto with its lights on. No, sorry. Thank you.
Oh, don't get all excited. I'm not going to play a whole bunch. I'm just going to show you how the song goes.
You can get excited.
It's not what lyrically speaking is about. But in first place,
have another drink. It's on me.
That's not a normal tuning. And if I had ever been here before, I would probably know just what to do. Don't you? If I had ever been here before, another time around the wheel, I would probably know just how to deal with all of you. And I feel like I've been here before. Like I've been here before, and it does make me wonder what's going on. Under the ground. Do you know? Don't you wonder? what's going on down under you. Da, 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 da.
This is the best seat I've ever had to hear him sing. This is great.
Yeah, wait till you come to the next one. You'll be behind a pillar.
Yeah, where I usually am. You know, when I hear those tunings, you said once that when you were starting, you really loved Coltrane and McCoy Tyner and those kind of jazz harmonies. And a lot of people said, you know, Crosby, the Byrds, it's folk rock. But it's more than that. You really brought jazz and jazz harmonies
well,
to
you know,
it.
people kept trying to label it as folk rock, and then when I listened to a lot of Ravi Shankar, and we started trying to inject some of that, and it was always raga rock, and then I played a bunch of John Coltrane, and it's a funny story. We were on tour, and everybody else was in a big bus, and we had already tried that, and it was really pretty horror show. So we got ourselves a Winnebago. So we could herbally enhance ourselves as we were. And we stopped at we're stopped and we've got a Fender Bassman in the back of the thing facing forward with a reel-to-reel tape recorder. This is so ancient. And then we're playing John Coltrane's Africa Brass. And we pull up to a railroad crossing, and the sign is down, and the train comes, and lo and behold, this is how stoned we were. A coal train goes. Train full of coal. Ooh, cosmic. Dude, did you see that?
It's funny.
Funny stuff. It was funny stuff.
You know, we were talking about capturing a song in the studio. To get the Crosby, Stills, Nash blend, that sound on tape, would you guys sing together at the same time?
Very, very often we did, yeah. And it's an air blend, and it's much harder to do because if one guy screws up, everybody screwed up, and you have to start over. Nowadays, with Pro Tools and stuff like that, it just doesn't make sense to do it because if you do them separately, you can do anything to them you want. You can say the P on that people is a little before the P on the other people's people. So we're just going to take it and move it that much.
Is that good to have that?
I don't know. It is. It exists. And if a tool exists, people will use it.
Sure.
You know.
Some people have said to get a blend, you have to all be on the same mic even. Did you do that?
You have to get a blend, you have to sing an air blend with each other to rehearse it and to learn it. You don't necessarily have to do it that way to get a great record. We did many vocals that way and many every other way. When you listen to something like Helplessly Hoping, that would be an air blend. That would be an air blend. Any time that it was three voices and one guitar or two guitarists, we would sing it that way.
last night I was listening to all your songs, and I listened to Almost Cut My Hair.
You listen to all my songs in one night?
Well, not all of them, okay. Quite a few, though, I did. It was a good night. Yeah. Well, over. Anyway, I understand that, I mean, that vocal line, Almost Cut My Hair, is so emotional and so passionate. And I heard that Steven said it was too raw for him. He didn't even want to put it out. But then later, Neil came up to you and said, you know, that's the best song on the album. How much of that is true?
It's true.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's all true.
Yeah.
I thought that Stephen and Neil played so great on it.
Yeah.
That, you know, there is a thing that they do together with two guitars that nobody else does, and it's when they get it right, it's mind blowing. It's like an audio bulldozer. You can't ignore it. And they got it right.
Yeah.
That was a very exciting time.
Were you singing while they were playing?
Yeah, that's a live take. Live guitarist, live vocal, live everything, one pass.
Yeah, because Neil's guitar solo is much more raw than Still's, but it works so well, the two of them together.
Neil was at that stage of the game where his solos were, how many notes can I squeeze into? You know, pretty intense.
Yeah, but it worked.
Intense guy.
That song, and you've said that you don't think it's one of your best songs, but it's a very powerful song. Almost.
You know, I like it. I like singing it because I like the reaction it gets, and I like singing rock and roll. I mean, come on, you know, I like singing, you know, ballads too. But well, we're screwed. You know, I don't have a band, but next time I'll bring a band.
Yeah. I want to come too.
Well, this was more about how we write the songs than a performance. But I think, you know, you'll probably like it. You probably like it. And I promise I will bring a band next time I come.
Yeah. Another classic of yours is Long Time Gone. And that's when I understand that you had trouble getting the feel you wanted when you were recording.
And that one is a case where Stephen really did come through really amazingly.
Oh, he was telling the truth on that one.
Yeah, no, he absolutely was. He built the track for that song. I wasn't even there. I sang it to him. We made a demo of it earlier, which a radio personality friend of ours dubbed the Frozen Noses. I don't know why he called us that, but we had a demo of it that was interesting, you know. But I did not have a track like that. Stephen built that track from scratch, and he played the bass, the organ, and the guitar, all three. So when he tells you that he sometimes is Captain Many Hands, he is. Sometimes he absolutely is, and he's a talented guy. You know, I'll be the first one to say it.
And the story goes that then you came in the next day and heard what he had done the previous night, and you sang it with a new passion that you hadn't sung it with before, and you said, you know, I've really found my voice for the first time with this track and this song.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first times I really sang rock and roll right.
So I was surprised you said when you were in the Byrds that if you sang lead, you would choke up a little bit. And that surprised me.
I didn't think of myself as a lead singer.
Oh, yeah?
You know, I had always been a harmony singer.
Oh.
So, you know, I still don't think I'm that good a lead singer. I mean, not compared to Stephen or...
He's a humble man.
No, come on, gang. Let's think about it realistically.
But that voice...
James Taylor.
Pavarotti.
Okay? Let's talk about a real voice. Let's go James Taylor, Joni Mitchell. You know, okay?
I would agree.
Well, I love you too, but no. Jerry wasn't a good singer, but he was a great singer. But he wasn't a good singer. He would have been the first to tell you that. He would have been the first to tell you that. What Jerry could do is he could tell you a story with this song. He could involve you and inveigle you into coming along, you know. And that was powerful stuff. I really loved that guy a lot.
But you know, when you would sing a lead, there's so much soul in your lead vocals, like in Long Time Gone. It's very soulful, and there's a quality in your voice that no one else has.
How do you answer that?
You don't have to answer that.
Well, yes, actually,
Yeah, that's true. Stills would have no problem with it.
I think I'm pretty terrific too. Thank you.
Do you think a little bit of Long Time Gone? Can we hear a little bit?
No, it's
No?
no. It's really a band song. I can sing it, but not in this tuning. I can sing it, but not.
We
in
got
this
two
tuning.
guitars.
But it's not
It's a normal tuning.
That's very definitely not normal tuning.
I asked him what the tuning was on this guitar earlier, and he said it's Guinevere tuning. Yeah. You know what that means, huh?
Well, I usually name them to after the whatever was the first song in that tuning that I wrote. There's a great story on this guitar. I play dreadnoughts, always have. Big-bodied Martins, love them, and I'm still playing them. But this guy showed up at my house, and Roy McAllister was his name, and he used to work at Santa Cruz Guitars. And he showed up at my house and said, "Hey, Mr. Crosby, I made you a guitar." And I thought, "Oh shit." First of all, 9 times out of 10, it's a piece of crap guitar. And you have to be nice, because they're trying to give you something. They're trying to tell you they love you. And secondly, I have my guitars. I don't need any guitars. And I said that to him. I said, "Listen, I don't really need any more guitars." And he said, "Well, I made this one for you. You try it." And I said, "Well, I can't afford another guitar right now." He said, "I'm giving it to you." Okay. So I sit down, and it's a pretty little guitar, very plain. And it's the best guitar I have. I love it dearly. This one here, there's a guy, a lawyer in Houston, Texas, who made a lot of money with class action suits, tobacco and asbestos and stuff. And so he has this huge estate in Houston, and every year he throws a party for 5,000 or 6,000 of his closest friends, and he hires somebody like us or Fleetwood or Doobies or Steely Dan, a band from our era, and so we were pretty good that day. We aren't always, but we were then, and he came up and he was looking at my guitars afterwards. And saying, geez, I really like that one. And geez, that custom J200 Rose. I'd never seen a Rosewood J200 before. And we were going back and forth about it. He says, "How come you don't have an Olsen?" And I said, "Isn't that what James plays?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, the way I hear it, those are like $20,000, $25,000 guitars, and I really can't afford one." And he said, "I'll give it to you." Now, I'm no hooker. It took me at least 0.2 of a second to say yes. I didn't roll over easy, I want you to know. So I, who played dreadnoughts all my life, wound up with my 2 best guitars being concert size, and I didn't pay for either of them. It's crazy.
It's good to be David Crosby.
Sometimes. When you go into prison in Texas, it's not. You Crosby?
No.
Hi there, rock star. Go ahead, man, I'm sorry.
Well, we were trying to encourage you to do a little of Long Time Gone. Would you mind? Just a touch?
It's the simplest song in the world. It's been a long time coming. Going to be a long time gone. And it be a long, long time. Such a long, long time before the dawn.
Thank you.
This was in regular tuning.
Nice.
More to come. More to come.